Hello YouTube, this is Neon, and today I'm going to be answering the question, was ancient Egypt a black nation? I didn't fix this. Yeah, now it's fixed. So, was ancient Egypt a black nation? This is a very political and controversial subject. I've heard African Americans who boldly proclaim that Egypt, to my knowledge, the world's first superpower, they were a black nation, and it's almost as if we as African Americans, we're better. Black Africans are better than everybody else. We have the world's first superpower. And I've heard one white person who, in a very unkind and uncivil way, had said online, he said in a comment section somewhere, said, ancient Egypt wasn't a black nation. It's as if the idea that a black nation being a superpower was so unsettling for this person that, and I've heard more than one white person say this, that it's unacceptable, the idea that ancient Egypt might be a black African nation. So to both of these parties, you're going to be disappointed, because the answer that I have, and it should be clear, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm not claiming that this is the definitive answer as to whether or not ancient Egypt was a black African nation. This is my opinion. It's based on a lot of documentaries that I've seen that really were only tangentially related. Most of these were tangentially related to this topic, okay? So my answer is yes and no. That's ultimately my answer as to whether or not ancient Egypt was a black African nation. Now, the first thing that we need to take into consideration is the geography of Africa. Africa essentially is shaped like an upside down L. You have the Sahara Desert, which for millennia had been this impenetrable barrier that kept white Africa, northern Africa, separated from black Africa, which is sub-Saharan Africa. The Saharan Desert is about the size of the US. It's over 3 million miles of very harsh desert. So the exception to that would be East Africa, or the Horn of Africa, where the Nile River penetrated the Sahara Desert, and where the east coast, the Horn of Africa, was the exception to that rule of keeping black and white Africa separated. Now, I'm going to say straight up, from everything I've seen, North Africa, I'm speaking north of the Sahara Desert, Libya, Morocco, Algeria, and Egypt, they were settled by the Berber people. The Berber people is a subgroup of the people that came from the Caucasus Mountains. Again, this is just to the best of my understanding, or a subgroup of Caucasians. They are the ones who settled North Africa. Again, Libya, Algeria. I don't know my North Africa geography that well. I don't know my African geography that well. But the nation, the area north of the Sahara Desert, and that includes Egypt, they are the ones who founded Egypt. However, Egypt quickly became a superpower. Egypt began to expand south along the Nile. They quickly made contact with black Africa and began to capture and enslave black Africans and take them back to Egypt. And very early on, black Africans became a part of Egyptian society, and the race is mixed. So, and that includes in the royal family as well. If you, I'm going to say what I've seen. What I have seen with a lot of the archaeological digs and a lot of the archaeological studies that are going on in various parts of Egypt, along the Nile River and really all over Egypt, what all the pictures seem to show is a mixture of black and white. They tend to be the pharaohs and the royalty all seem to be people with straight noses, full lips, and brown skin. I don't see a lot of depictions of people of the royal families of Egypt as being black African per se, but a mixture of both the Berber and black African nations. Ethiopia, present-day Somalia, Eritrea, the Horn of Africa had established nations early on. I don't believe as early as the founding of Egypt, but that's the one exception, is along the Horn of Africa where black and white mixed throughout the millennia and very early on. So Egypt may have been founded by a subgroup of the Caucasian people, but in fact, by the time it rose to being the superpower that it was, black Africans made up a good part of the royal bloodline, of the royal lineage. And I think that that's well shown in the pictures, the paintings, and all of the evidence that I've seen in looking at various documentaries of Egypt and of the royal family as they're studying. There's so many archaeologists and scientists studying this history and studying every aspect of the history, from female pharaohs to you name it. So that's my answer. I would say more yes than no that ancient Egypt was a black African nation, but I don't think that it's yes. And I certainly wouldn't say no, because even as Egypt began to climb and become this superpower, they already had black people as a part of their nation, mixed in with their people, and part of the royal lineage by this time. So that's my opinion, that's my view on the issue. Although, again, as I said, I believe, from what I've seen, it was established, Egypt was established, the first people to land in Egypt were in fact the Berber people. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a white nation or a subgroup of the Caucasian, that ancient Egypt was strictly a subgroup of white people or the Caucasians. So that's my answer. Hopefully y'all is cool with my answer and it wasn't offensive to you. That's what I hope. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment commercials, recommend my videos, do one or more of those things. Thank you. Best wishes.